we're doing 3.5. We started this a little bit yesterday. I just want to touch on it again. 3.5 is systems of 3. When I say systems of 3, that means 3 equations, 3 variables. All right? And we had 3 equations when we started in that system. We have equation 1, equation 2, and equation 3. All right, the steps we talked about yesterday was we said step 1. We use elimination with equations 1 and equation 2 to eliminate a variable. Step 2, use equation 2 and equation 3 to eliminate the same variable. Step 3, using results from step 1 and 2, eliminate a second variable. Step 4, we said solve remaining. Step 5, plug result into step 1 results. Step 6, plug both answers into equation 1. Step 7, write as a point. So you now have 3 values in your point, x, y, z. And of course, you always write it in alphabetical order. A, B, C, X, Y, Z, L, M, N, whatever they are. Okay? All right. So let's do an example today. You have 3 problems for homework, so I just want to touch on those 3 and make sure we're good. All right, make sure we understand how to do this before we do any of them. So here we go with, let's do 3x plus 3y plus 6z equals 9. Then we're going to do 2x plus y plus 3z equals 7. And our last equation is x minus 2y minus z, I'm sorry, that's plus 2y, minus z equals negative 10. All right. So looking at all of those, we got to decide what variable we want to get rid of. If you look at the first 2 equations, what variable is the easiest one to get rid of in the first 2 equations? You think y? Okay, let's do y. So if we decide to get rid of y, that means we have to multiply the second equation by a negative 3. So the first equation is going to stay the same. And yesterday I said you want to come all the way over here, write the first equation down. 3x plus 3y plus 6z equals 9. Now we're going to multiply the second equation by a negative 3. So negative 6x minus 3y minus 9z equals negative 21. We multiply it all the way through by negative 3. Adding these together, the y's are going to drop out. I have negative 3x minus 3z equals negative 12, right? Everybody agree? Double check my math. Okay. Now we're going to go back and use equations 2 and 3 and eliminate y again. This time, if I want to get rid of y, what should I multiply this equation by? If I want to get rid of y, what do I need to multiply by? A negative 2, I agree. So we're going to multiply by a negative 2. This time I'm going to come over on the right-hand side. So negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 times y is negative 2y. Negative 2 times 3z is negative 6z. And negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. The bottom equation is going to stay the same. X plus 2y minus z equals negative 10. Adding these together, the y's drop out. I have negative 3x minus 7z equals negative 24. So we've done steps 1 and 2. Step 3 says to take the results of step 1 and 2, put those together, and eliminate another variable. So looking at these two equations, what variables are going to be easiest to get rid of next? X. So let's multiply this one by a negative 1. And we're going to write it here in the middle. Negative 1 times 3x is positive 3x. Negative 1 times negative 3z is positive 3z. And negative 1 times negative 12 is positive 12. I'm going to write this one underneath here. So negative 3x minus 7z equals negative 24. Adding those together. My x's drop out. I get negative 4z equals negative 12. Now solve the remaining. Divide both sides by negative 4. Z equals 3. Now we take our answer and plug it into the result from step 1. So I'm going to plug in 3 here for z. So I have negative 3x minus 3 times 3 equals negative 12. This is negative 9, so I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So I have negative 3x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by negative 3. And x equals 1. Now we're to step 6. We're going to take both of those answers and take them where? Yeah, we're going to take them to the very top equation and plug them in here. So we're going to put 1 in here for x. Let me just kind of change the color here. Put 1 in here for x. We're going to put 3 in here for z. And we're going to solve it. So 3 times 1 is 3 plus 3y. 6 times 3 is plus 18 equals 9. So we have 3y plus 21 equals 9. Subtract 21 to the other side, and we get 3y equals negative 12. Divide both sides by 3, and y equals? Good, negative 4. So the last thing we have to do is write it as a point. X is 1, y is negative 4, and z is 3. Okay, questions so far? Huh? Okay, questions at all? As long as you stay organized and you can follow your penmanship, right, you should be good. We're going to do one more example, and then I'm going to let you work on those 3 problems you have for homework. And it's only 3. Okay? So example number 2. I'm going to change it up a little bit on you. Are you ready? No, we can't. Thank you, though, for asking. Example number 2. Here is our system this time. I want to go with x minus y plus 2z equals negative 7. And then we have y plus z equals 1. And the last one we have is x minus 2y minus 3z equals 0. All right. So what do you notice about equation 2? There's no x, right? So we can actually, I know it doesn't follow our steps, but we can actually use 1 and 3 and eliminate x. Okay? So we already have one equation that doesn't have an x in it. So we already have the equation y plus z equals 1. We're going to use the other two equations and also get rid of x. So what can I multiply the bottom one by to get rid of x? Negative 1. I agree with Jordan. So the top one's going to stay the same. X minus y plus 2z equals negative 7. Multiplying the bottom equation by a negative 1 is negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times negative 2y is positive 2y. Negative 1 times negative 3z is positive 3z. And negative 1 times 0 is 0. Adding these together, my x's drop out. I have y plus 5z equals 7. So now you'll notice I have an equation with no x and another equation with no x. We're going to put those two together. What variable do you want to eliminate next? You want to get rid of y, Jordan? Okay, which equation do you want to multiply by a negative 1? Okay, so we're going to multiply this one by a negative 1. So we have negative y minus z equals negative 1. This one is y plus 5z equals 7. Oh, it is a negative 7. Thank you. Negative 7. Appreciate that. Okay, so you'll notice our y's drop out. Negative z plus 5z is 4z. Negative 1 and negative 7 is negative 8. Divide both sides by 4, and z equals negative 2. So now what am I going to do with that? We take this answer right here and we plug it in to there. So I have y plus a negative 2 equals 1. Adding 2 to the other side, what does y equal? Y equals 3. All right. Now we have this result. What are we going to do with both of these? Yep, we want to plug it into the first one. Very good. All right. So we have x minus y, which is 3, plus 2 times z, or negative 4. Well, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, equals negative 7. So I have x minus 7 equals negative 7. Add 7 to both sides, and x equals what? 0. What's our last step? Yep. Good. 0, 3, negative 2. Okay, so although in our steps I tell you use 1 and 2, and then use 2 and 3, you don't have to use 1 and 2. Okay? You just have to make sure you eliminate the same variable in 2 separate ones. All right? Does that make sense? Anybody has any questions at all? Nobody has any questions? Would we like to work on these 3 problems for the next 20 minutes? Okay, let's do it. And lucky for you, Trenton,